Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Madden God. I'm Max, your host, and I'm here with the stellar, one and only, and always shining star in our hearts, Roxanne. Hi, Roxy. How are you?
I'm good, Max. Thank you so much. And how about you?
I'm great. I'm absolutely amazing.
You're coming
And happy.
live, well, in the now anyway. People will listen to this later from a little vacation spot.
Yeah, from Spain, the sunny Spain, blue sky, and wonderful spot to watch the moon, the full moon last night.
Yes,
I
I
was
made my moon water.
Oh yeah,
And the other spells that I did enchanting imbued by the moon, I did that last night. It was a good moon.
yes, and
Yeah,
beautiful.
very good.
So
It's up to you. Where are we going today?
Today we'll dive into something very mystical, very strange. Science. We're going to explore science, and as I had this idea of talking about science because you have been channeling Albert Einstein last at least 2 weeks. We had 2 classes with Einstein.
2 classes with her.
And as we were talking the other day, I said it's when I look into this being Einstein, what I perceive is this scientist, but it was more than more. Obviously, we're always more, but this idea of a scientist, he was not just confirming or saying what is what and proving things. He gives me this idea of someone that was much more connected into the unknown. He was exploring, open to dive into the unknown, and so that he was able to discover, to make real progress in his work through the unknown, and not simply trying to validate the known, to confirm the known, as sometimes is the feeling that I'm having from other people or the scientists that are discovering planets. You're discovering planets. There's planets out there. How can you discover a planet? Well, right? Because they're out there. It's not, right? You're confirming something you already know. The planet is out there. You know it, right? This kind of idea. And Einstein gives this connection to the unknowns, that potentials, opportunities, discovery, and so that it's fascinating, and it gives a view of science that is something where I think that science is great to explore. It gives really that excitement in getting into the unknown. And that's a little bit what I was exploring, right, with this idea. It's and it's different from much of what I've been connecting to before, right? With the idea of science. What is science? Is science the discovery of something, or just the confirmation of what we know? And as we are creative beings, what is a scientist doing when the scientist is doing science? Isn't the scientist, like all of us, a creative being? So aren't they creating the science that they are exploring? So that their belief systems are part of their work. And so that when you explore science, isn't that something that we as humans ought to keep in our mind, so that we are then opening up the opportunities, the potential of science? And when we are not accepting the unknown and our part into the science we are dealing with, aren't we restricting, redimensioning, limiting what we are able to do? So those have been my explorations with it, right? That with taking under account this, so that, as I was saying before, sometimes where we hear about new discoveries, right, in from the science world, and we get these extraordinary papers about the new science that have been discovered, new possibilities, and then you say, "Wow, that's amazing what you've done, fantastic." Now, how did you approach it? What is your idea of science? Are you going into a limitation, or are you going into the unknown?
Here's how I look at it. I don't concern with myself the individuals and how they're conducting themselves. We can't teach a sleep to perform a certain way, so I don't bother with that. What I do is represent my validation and stuff like that about how I behave, and that represents. So in that representation, there's byproduct, light workers, stuff like that. But that's not the point I'm trying to make with, I'm not even trying to make a point, but I don't look at science, again, as how they're exploring science. I look at science itself let's look at science as something of a bubble. And all the participants in the bubble are, in our co-created world, are humans. And how they perform within that is going to be up to them. We can't dictate how anyone performs. But what I look at is science has its own law of attraction. All the people have their own law of attraction. So science is going to explore itself through the ones interested in scientific ideas, whether they want to be proven in the idea of factual and just be the idea of a diminished idea, which you approach with the, okay, you're naming a planet, but we know there's planet. Be like Einstein and go with theories or something of that it can't be proven, or something on that side, maybe. And what I look at is what science is offering. There's offering of facts, but what it's offering to me is, well, let's say quantum physics has blown the doors off, but only about 5% of humanity is even fucking interested and even know what the word is. But it's in its natural timing, and it's opening up. So when things are going to get a little bit more scopic in the future about causality of reality of these massive changes that humanity is going to receive in the next 100 or so years, those things will be steadily and solidly in place to say, here is how it works, offering the perception to the masses on, oh, we literally are living on a holodeck. Quantum physics can prove that to my satisfaction. It doesn't prove it to all. It proves it in itself. See, there's nothing to prove externally. The internal is where it's proven. And quantum physics has proven itself, otherwise it wouldn't be very interesting to the humans that are exploring. And also there was some work done by sacred geometry. Some people were looking at the sacred geometry and trying to figure it out for egoic ideas and meaning and assigning meaning. But there were some scientists that said, no. If we assign sacred geometry to frequency, we can understand the language of that, and we can not only map it by coloring the frequency, we can see the patterns and how things are created out of that sacred geometry if we measure it in the idea of what we're capable of measuring, vibrational frequency. So that, to me, is how science has moved the human collective. The ones that are engaging in science, it would be like you, Max, going to another channel and saying you're not channeling correctly. We're not going to tell the scientists how to be scientists. What we're doing is busy in our own world, but if we look at the co-created collective of humanity, science is going to play a very, very, very big part in human collective coming in the future. Science is what got us here. It got us medicine. It got us pharmaceuticals. It got us surgery. It got us autopsies. Out of autopsies, we start getting proof. We start getting how to prove people DNA. Excellent, outstanding evolution for the human collective to see within their consciousness how things are working. So that science took us immensely. When we started doing autopsies, we started figuring shit out. We start mapping diseases, we start understanding, and we can fix ourselves now. You know, from the Black Plague and polio and smallpox and shit like that. You know, there's a lot of results of science that are magnificent. So, in my little drop of water, or a blink of an eye, better said, of my life in the absolute massive time of humanity's ascension. I'm just in here like any other person to do the part of the conscious collective, not for the conscious collective, as a byproduct of it. So those scientists that are engaging in exploring science, if their heart is sincere and they're in the idea of exploration of possibilities without the egoic side of it, which there's 1,000 guys out there. The case in point is Nassim Harim. I can't pronounce his last name. His scientific world was laughing at the guy. And now they're fucking going to his lectures. But see, those are the ones that are like, well, and those are the same people 20 years ago were barking at the last generation of movement. So that's their own game. I'm not concerned about the tiddlywinks of humanity. I look at the idea behind it. Ascension is a global consciousness movement of self-awareness. That's what the species is doing. It's ascending. That's what everyone does, is ascend. It evolves. And it takes 10 billion people over 10 billion years to move the collective into its own realization, right?
Yes.
So all of these incarnations are playing parts. And when it becomes attractively relevant, like channeling is attractively relevant, channeling started from psychics, from reading the stars, zodiac signs, birth psychics, soothsayers, seers. These are nothing but what we've already done, but we're doing the version of expansion on it. We're exploring the depths of it. So science has taken the autopsy and moved it into quantum physics, is to realize that you literally are, everything is happening is in your mind. It's an interpretation of the reality around you, is interpretation by electrical inputs of a light, It's a light show. And you're on a holodeck, bending the light according to your vibrational will. But that is very, very different than your than the will of your egoic mind. We're not talking about that one. But we're talking about the nature of you, creating the third density, creating the co-created world of reality as a human. But that's the creator perspective. But the scientific idea is phenomenal. I think it's a massive, massive tool because
Yes.
AI itself, the way we're learning all the new ideas from Google, Microsoft, Meta, I don't know who bought that Chat GPT thing. And then Google's big screw up with theirs that got it wrong and all of it. But that's just people working it out. See, that's the stretching of the thing. Consider yourself in the middle of molasses and you're all covered in molasses. And it takes a lot to get out of that big pool of molasses, but you're working your way out and stretching and peeling all this stuff off of you to birth a new self. This is the same thing with science. Everyone who engages in it becomes more of themselves, as well as the idea that they're engaging in the world of science. And however it comes is an exploration. So if you look at, let's look at the science of acupuncture. They work off the medians of the bodies. And that's not scientifically proven. But you have 1 billion people that have been using this shit, and it works for the last 5,000 years. So there's validity to it. Although it's not scientifically proven, but it is science itself. See, that itself is science. Mastering acupuncture. I took acupuncture. I'm still taking acupuncture. And I'm telling you, I will absolutely swear by it. It is phenomenal what it did for my body and the ailments that I had. And it's not temporary, it's permanent. Because it's just not the idea of the acupuncture. It was also the acupuncturist that was telling me different ideas about how things bring in the awareness and how to conduct my day-to-day diets and my day-to-day movement of self. I was like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. These kind of ideas were sciences, but they weren't called scientists because they didn't have a lab coat or a degree. But I want to tell you, who wasn't a scientist? Nostradamus wasn't a fucking scientist, according to the scientific world. He was a traitor or a bad guy and doing the wrong things. But the motherfucker was a scientist. He's a goddamn alchemist. Look at today's alchemists. Who's over there squishing the pills up in your mortar and pestle? Go back 1,000 years. We're taking plants and doing the same fucking shit. But just because they have a lab coat on, they're scientists. But if you don't have a lab coat on, you don't have a degree, you're not a scientist. Bullshit. Fuck you.
Yeah, but
see that
we need to
everything that you explore, hang on. Yeah, hang on. Everything that you are exploring is scientific in the way of exploration. I remember when Abraham said you have 2 states of being. You have the ideas of contemplation and investigation, musing, and you're also like a scientist in your laboratory. You're investigating reality. And that's what we're literally doing. Of course, a lot of us sleep are investigating their lives, but it's still investigating reality because they've never fucking been there. They're still expanding. But if you look at the consciousness of humanity coming across naming science, it's very divided. It's got its ideas, and it's just like fucking archaeology and history. It's so riddled with the bullshit and the hidings and all that, but it still works. It still gets out there. It doesn't matter if some things are hidden in conspiracy. Stop with that. That's all distraction and diarrhea. What it is the consciousness will not be denied. Humanity will not be denied because there's no one to deny it. It's worked on vibration, collective vibration. So we discovered the idea. We got better telescopes. We're mapping the universe. We're doing these things. We'll discover all of these stuff. We'll share our technology when aliens show up. We'll start to expand ourselves off of their wisdom. We'll offer our wisdom with them. And it'll be scientific. So I think I approached it in that mannerism. That it's beneficial for humanity. It's given us great things. There's a lot of arrogance wrapped up because the person wants to put their signature on the paper, and if it's not going to get approved, it's too risky, they'll cower down. Fine. But that's not my job to fix humanity. My job is to represent everyone is worth their own existence, their own truth, and they're allowed to choose it. Now, go ahead. What were you going to say? Max?
Yeah, well,
oh, sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
I forgot there's a delay.
Right, yeah. No, you see, it's, you said something very interesting when you look into the ego and the approach of some people that are putting their persona, their personality, and their existence into their science, meaning that they have an idea of what is possible or what it is, and when science doesn't confirm what they think things have to be, well, they're lost. All the discovery, the scientific, let's say scientific discoveries that are changing completely the way we perceive human history, meaning that our idea that civilization, or mainstream idea that civilization started with Sumer, well, now is being completely disproven because we have found so much evidence that it goes tens of thousands and probably hundreds of thousands of years before of that, right? In our timeline, in our idea of time. But you still can find people that are opposing it, saying that's not true because this is what it is. It started with Sumer, and you cannot go behind them. That's the truth. Shut up, right? The refusal, So these people are doing what? They are putting their personality, the fact that what they believe is disproven, that destroys their persona, their personality. So they're lost.
Yes, they attach their personality, their worth to that. Yes.
And but that doesn't stop science. I mean, the progress, the new discovery, the new the new things to when we say new, it's for us right now in this idea of being discovered, of being explored, right? Göbekli Temple in Turkey. That's a discovery that is changing our historical science, because it's proving that was much older than what we thought, right? And there are other discovery in Asia and many other places that are saying that, and that's bringing in so much then what potentials for us of enlarging our view of what humanity is, which is something that science is bringing us, is changing. It gives us a perspective of humanity that is much different of what we were perceiving up until that moment. When we go into artificial intelligence, when we go into the micro, making it so tiny, so little, this microscopic new things that are able to do with science. The fact that now if you have a 3D printer, you're able to create things that before you needed some industry and so many things. We are bringing new opportunities and new ideas through science, and the change that science is bringing. And what is going to be very, very fascinating is when we'll have the merging of science and the spiritual. So bringing the two together, which is already happening. Right? It's nothing new. It's already happening. But with that exploration that is going to be becoming bigger and bigger, when the idea that science has to prove, which is the big thing right now, right? It has to be proved, as you were saying. Nostradamus was not proven to be anything else, right? But he was a scientist, alchemist, and all of that. But where are the proofs? Where were the papers that were proving that he was that he was? Probably didn't have any. But did he need that? Well, no, not for him, but from the perspective of much of our modern academia, right? You need to have paper, or you are nothing, or you are not entitled to science. You are not entitled to prove anything. Where were the papers of attesting that these people were scientists when in our history we discovered certain things? And who did those things? Well, people, right? Human beings. Were those human beings certified anything? Probably not. If we go through our existence needing, right, the proofs were limited. And so that this new perspective of letting go of the need of truth and proofs and all that, this is opening up so much many avenues of exploration and discovery, and right, going into those things. And now, well, we have the universe. We have all of that to explore, starting to sending out in space this telescopes and right, exploring, trying to have new images of what is out there and exploring it. And well, what a huge opportunity of potential, some new discoveries on and knows, right? That's the unknown. As long as we do not expect the known, then we will have so much discovery. And this is one of the things that I was also seeing this few days, is that right, when people, scientists, some scientists or some organizations, people are going into trying to say, well, actually, what if there were civilizations that are lost, that were here? Can we find anything proving that, giving us? But you see, that's the thing. They are going to go into what? Into the known. I want to discover if civilization preceded us on Earth and left something behind. But what am I going to do in order to have that confirmation? Well, I'm going to look human beings right now and compare and see if we're able to have traces that this civilization may have left. But you see, they're trying to find that out from the known. If you do that, you will not. You're going to miss it, because it's the unknown that you have to look for. It's the unknown that is going to allow you to discover new things, right? And this is the new discovery that scientists are now getting into. They know more and more. Einstein is one that was doing that when probably it was not yet really that big thing, right? Now many are exploring it. They are seeing that actually most of the discoveries are done into the unknown. When you are not looking for it, when you have no idea what you're doing, that's when it happens. And if I try to bring the known, well, I'm sticking with what I know, and so I'm finding exactly what I'm looking for. Same thing, and I'm not really getting into the discovery. And so the potentials that we have are infinite, right? And the technology that we are already actually that is already here, just now being explored. There's so much that is appearing and coming to us, because we have the impression that our everyday lives, we are dealing with whatever is here, right? That's what we do. So we are not paying attention to anything else. But when you go into the idea of medical progress, and you see what they are able to do now, it's mind-blowing, because only 20, 30 years ago, those ideas were so far away from us. They are able to do things that, for instance, heart diseases, right? Heart problems. They needed to open up your chest, open up everything in order to have a pacemaker or anything done to your heart. Now they do the same, but they go in different ways. So it's much less invasive, much less hard, and you recuperate much faster than before. You see, and these things, it's now done in the last few years that is really available. But you see all the researches and all the work with that, it's amazing, right? Because then that gives you an idea, and now they are still progressing, and new things are possible, because they don't need big machines. They have done so big progress in reducing, right? So you see that we're able to do this unknown, this to have this, as you were saying, Roxy, right? When you go with no intention, or you allow the creator to be expressed in that way, and then we make progresses, and we bring new technologies in our everyday life and experiences. So science is really changing our relationship with reality. Yeah.
Let me say something about we had a SpaceX launch last week. And if you look at the capsule, it has a video camera inside the capsule. And the capsule of where they first launched in the 60s, the Mercury program and all them, up through the 70s, and the capsule today was just like 3 computer screens, and the one in 16 had 10 million parts. But see, that was the unknown. No one had ever been to the Earth, over to the moon. No one had been outside of the atmosphere. Humanity's science did. They went and orbited the Earth. Russian did that first, and then we went ahead and put a man in space. And then we put them on the moon. No one knew what was there. But how the hell did they know the moon didn't have an atmosphere? How did they know the gravity was lighter? How did they know that and they'd never been there? Science. Science told them that. How are we going to get to Mars? Science will get us to Mars. We'll have colonies on Mars. Absolutely. Why not?
Yes.
You know, we'll move ourselves there. Who knows? Of course, there's a conspiracy theory. We're going to use up all the Earth's resources and all that diarrhea. Bullshit. But anyways, the point is the science is always there expanding. And the ones behind science are the ones that are forging it forward by coming up with these ideas and then putting them to the test. And I think a science is directly related with the human ascension. It might be the pinnacle permission slip for people to believe in something they cannot understand. And maybe that proves to them that maybe the God that they thought was outside and angry is just consciousness, is just an experience of my forever life, brought forth by science to give you a different perspective. That this almighty idea that takes his children that he loves and basically beats them. Beats them like in their redheaded stepchild because they fucked up. And we live under that oppression. And now, generations later, people are going, nah, bullshit. And the younger generations, and now they're interested in science. Science will tell them it's different and give them that courage to live that life instead of this life, which allows everyone to see something different. Allowing humanity, each participant in the separation of the incarnation, to see a perspective of change, to expand their world. And they can fight it. A lot of people fight it. Of course they fight it. Because their pride and their ego and their identity is based on particular ideas, tradition, religion, or what was the good old days. Man, we can, you know, I'm 56. I don't know how many fucking generations said, man, hell, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. There's a recession on. And that's just diarrhea of the mind. That's just bullshit. Those are just identities. Yeah. And science is starting to show that. Our awareness is starting to show that. We have teachers saying, hey, you know what? That's your truth. It doesn't belong to me. I'm not feeling that way. You're feeling that way. I saw a child on a videotape the other day. It was a blooper thing, and the child was like, I don't know, like maybe 5 or 6, and she goes, "Mommy, that hurts," and mommy goes, "Oh, that doesn't hurt," and she goes, "You're not my body. You don't know what my hurt is. Your hurt is different than mine." At 6 years old, so you don't know how I feel. You know, that's a perception of 6 years old. To owning the internal that someone else says it doesn't hurt when it hurts, and they're willing to say, "Fuck you, it hurts, Mom." That kind of idea. See, that's consciousness moving. That's expansion. Those are the different ideas of how things are created and evolved. And science is going to be a wonderful idea. How about this? A continued wonderful idea of finding the unknown. They're still trying to figure out the Big Bang. They're still trying to get aliens. And that gives them something to do. Go after it, kids. But in the meantime, you're going to explore and discover a whole bunch of other shit. They'll stumble on it like they stumbled on black holes. They stumbled on what they call dark matter and these different ideas. Just keep going, guys. Have a good time. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
And you see, I was thinking about the energy production. I heard that now they are finally saying that we're not going to have a shortage of energy, that we are producing enough energy. But I was also thinking 25 years ago, when the idea of a renewable energy production was starting to come right into our consciousness and presented as something that we could do, right? Solar production, etc., etc. And back then, the politicians were saying, well, yeah, you can explore that, but you will never go more, have a production of more than 2, 3, maybe 6%, if really we get lucky, 6% of what we're using as energy, but never more. And now that is, we are coming to saying, well, we can, the potential of production is so huge, it's big, we can go to terawatt and even probably 20-25% of our necessity in some years can be done with those new energies. And it's, right, you see how things evolve, how it changes, how we just have at the beginning the resistance, as always, people say no, waste of time, and then we just let go of that, and with the evolution, with science and coming in, research and keep improving and changing what it needs to be changed, and then we come to a situation where actually, well, yeah, that's the future. Cars. Oh no, we cannot have any cars that is used in any other way than with oils and oil products and that. And electricity will never work. Cars are not going fast enough, and the batteries are not good enough, right? All of that. And now you have new ideas of cars that are using electricity and all of that stuff. And they work. And they work amazingly, right? We're evolving. The change is there. The idea comes, and then there's the evolution, and we get to the product. And even just the idea of having electric cars that 30, 40 years ago was so laughable. Well, you see that the idea of the electric car was not coming out of the blue. We already knew that the potential, right? We were feeling the potential, and we were connecting to it, but then we need the evolution through time to get to the final or a product that can be used. But if we were to stop to the opposition or to the no, but we don't, right? The evolution is there. We do evolve. That's what we do. And resistance, yeah, we will always have resistance, at least in our configuration right now, there's resistance. That's what we do, right? Fear and all of that, or those ideas that come in. And then we evolve.
But the resistance is just children. The political power. The democracy is the resistance. That democracy itself is a dying idea. We're not going to go to Marxism or socialism. We're not going to do that. We're going to evolve past all the structures. These are people in place to make money, economy. You can't get mad at them. I can't get mad at them. I got to represent. You don't need to be that way. And I think science is helping us to show them, okay, you think this is the only thing where they can only run cars off of oil? No, we can't. We can run it off electricity. We can run it off of water if we really wanted to. But that's a big of a leap right now. Hydrogen power is absolutely, and it works. Nuclear power still works. We're generating 20% of the world's power is generated from nuclear power. 20%. That's renewable energy. They don't know what the fuck can do with the waste yet. They still need to work on that. I mean, it would be bad if they put it on a shuttle and shot it to the moon or to the sun. That would be okay. But if it blew up going up, that'd be a problem. People say, "Oh, there's a million ways we could do it." No, there's not a million ways. There's not a million ways we can Get rid of that. So we'll evolve past it. We'll evolve past it. And the people that speak out against oil and do that's not a problem. That's the world evolving. See, that's why it's so vital to pay attention to your fucking world, learn what you are, and allow yourself to expand and not get caught up in the distraction of how people are victimizing others. Science is not a victimization world. Science is an evolutionary. And it's showing us, hey, we can have self-driving cars. Why are we going to have self-driving cars? Oh, I'll tell you why. Because the collective isn't interested in driving. They're interested in looking at their phone while they're driving to work, eating breakfast while they're driving to work. So we're going to create a car that drives you to work without you having to drive. The collective is interested in different things. Yeah, I like
love that.
Driving. For me personally, I love driving. I was raised around cars. I was in the car business. I love driving. You know, there's a thing about you and that machine joining and creating that idea. It's like a race car driver. There's something about it. But as a collective whole, we're going to have AI cars, undoubtedly. And there will be accidents, and there will be computer glitches, and there will be all of the things. Just like everything else, when we built buildings and they collapsed, we got better. People die. People are going to die anyway. They're going to die because of science. Science is saying now we don't have to die.
Well, that's what was happening at the beginning of the car business, right? When they started having cars and right, they were exploding. There were those things were and still right now. So with new technology,
the science that came. The science that came out of racing that made its way into passenger cars. Mm-hmm. Anti-lock brakes were introduced by Mercedes-Benz, but not on their cars. They were introduced on airplanes. Airplanes is how they stopped. ABS brakes were long before they make it to the car business. But they finally start making it in the late 80s, like, hey, we got anti-lock brakes now. Science, safety, airbags, better structures of the canopy around you. You know, the structure of the car, the A-frame, the B pillars, the C pillars. You know, all of this got better because of racing. How many people died in racing? They made them motherfuckers safe, and we can pass that on to humanity as the mass collective in the automobiles. So science got us there. Science is a huge part. We love science, but science is more than just the ideas of what it gets for you. Technology, allowing us to go to the room, carrying a computer in your hand, entertainment. It's an evolution of a species, if you pay attention, that allows the collective to expand their minds. Yes. You know, and it's phenomenal. And, you know, without the automobile, we don't have access to a lot of our places. We got access. Without the internet, we don't have access to a lot of places. Now we have internet. This is an evolution. It's an evolution of a species. And play your part. Your part is not a duty that is assigned by some mystical force of the universe. Your passion is self-evident in the moment. Find that, and you might find something you do for an entire life, like a scientist. I can't be nothing but a scientist. I can't be nothing but a teacher or a speaker, a channel. That's what I fucking do. And now I'm writing. I'm on my second book. I can't help but to do that. I don't do it to make money or earn a life and have a career for an image. I do it because I love it, and everything else around it creates and gives me everything I need to continue that passion. Everything I need to continue that passion. So that's what you do. And if you're a scientist out there listening to this, have the courage to speak your mind. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Rejection is one of the hugest things that hurts us because we learn rejection from our parents. whatever parental figure you had, you were rejected by them. You were rejected by your teachers. You were rejected by your peers. That sucks. It hurts. It's embarrassing. And that's a emotion, a vibrational truth. And you have to experience that self. You have to go through that. But you can also know that as A, just an experience in yourself, and B, it's a belief system that you no longer have to tend to. You can transcend that and speak your mind and get your work out there and says, I'm a scientist and here's my theory. And let them laugh if they laugh.
Yeah.
But if it's valid and it's your heart and it's you and you're not doing it for reasons to be proud or get published or egoic reasons, your vibration is resonance, there's no fucking way you fail. Go ahead, Max.
Yeah, it's impossible. It's an offering to the collective, and so the idea is there in the collective, and then, once it's there, then the evolution is the potential, right? There's so much potential for it, and even though you may encounter, people, right? Politicians, other scientists, or that are opposing your ideas. Well, if you do that from, as Roxy were saying, right, as your passion, as your right, knowledgeable, you are known there. Well, you're putting it out there in that way. Then something is going to happen. It's there, available to the whole collective, to then bring it into something new, right? To use it, to explore it. It's why you have sometimes, right? You have songs. Someone is writing a song here, someone is writing a song somewhere else, and they look alike. They are or very close or anything, but they don't know each other, and they did it separately. But right from the idea of the collective, that the song is it, right? The melody, it's in the collective, so it's available to everyone. That's science is the same thing. It's there, and once you offer it to the collective, then everyone can use it and get to the next step, or you going to go to the next step. Doesn't matter. It's working in a completely different way than the idea you have of I discovered something, now I'm the only one that can have access to it, so I'm going to put it into the law or wherever they do this, and so I'm limiting the way other people can use my discovery. From the point of view of the collective, it doesn't belong to. It belongs to the collective, right? So that everyone has access to it. That's the idea. That's how it works. I discover it, then everyone knows it. Oh, not consciously. I'm not talking about conscious. I'm not talking about economy. How can I exploit it? Not at all like that. But from the point of view of the collective, I discovered it's in the collective. Everyone can access it. And once it's there, then it's evolution. The evolution happens. That is, I know, from the point of view of the way we are exploiting our discoveries and our right, it's alien. It's an alien concept, because I want to make money out of this, right? That's the idea. I want to get rich. I want to get so yeah, good. There's nothing wrong with that. But
no, of course not.
Our evolution is to evolve, right? To get into new ways of exploring humanity, and so that in maybe 100, 200 years, 1,000 years, who knows? the economics of science will be completely different. What we discover will be used in a different way, whether it's going to be still economic or making money out of it, or more into the collective usage of our science. That's what we have to wait into the evolution of humanity. But we're evolving.
Yeah.
So that's
going
to change. Yes. Which I think is so exciting to have that different way of, and it's already different from what it was in the idea of 50, 60 years ago, the way we bring this discovery, this evolution into our everyday life. So it's not going to stop, or evolution is happening.
No, nothing stops. There's no such thing as stopping, ever. Conscious is constant. It's constant movement. That's what's so phenomenal about this. People can hold it, but see, anyone who has a resistance against creation is an experience of themselves resisting creation. That's their experience. It doesn't affect creation. Creation will go on with or without you. It doesn't matter if you go along with creation, because you are part of creation, whether you know that or not. That kind of. Anyways, good stuff.
Yes. Thank you, Roxy. Thank you for your.
You coming to class tonight, or when are you going back home?
On the 17th. So in 10 days.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. I'll be
all
there.
right. Remember, we're changing times next week. You don't change time. So after today, everything will be an hour difference.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
We'll be late on that. We're changing at the end of the month. I mean, that's what we usually do now.
Yeah.
Maybe they changed that.
We change this weekend.
All right.
One day it'll be permanent. All right. Thank you all for tuning in to the Madden God.
Madden God. Yes.
To the Madden God.
Thank you.
I am Roxanne, and you can find me. I am Roxanne, and you can find me at www.odysseyofascension.com or on YouTube, odysseyofascension.com. And Max, tell them where they can find you.
breakfastwithmax.com and Breakfast with Max on YouTube. And if you want to send us some nice word of love, you can send them at the Madden God Podcast at gmail.com. Okay?
You can also send questions if you have questions as well, not just necessarily nice words of love. If you want to correspond with us, use that Madden God at gmail.com.
Yes.
All right. We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks all for tuning in.